I'm gonna try to record this on my phone, and hopefully, because I don't have a lot of batteries, it will be shorter. I don't know what's up. I think it's the laundry detergent. It's been making me break out, and I have really bad allergies, so I'm like, um, there's some weird people like passing by my tent, and I was like, what are you doing? Looking at me. Okay, it's gonna be about social classes. I guess a lot of people don't understand the social class and social group and social status or whatever. Social status is like has a lot to do with what you've done in your life, and I think that's what people have a hard time explaining. Like, you lose your social status when you do something. Like, typically it's illegal, but not always. It's anything that has to do with morality and ethics. So anything that's unethical or immoral. So immoral is like with bad intent. You know, your intention is to hurt that person. But then unethical is like, regardless of whether or not you're trying to compliment that person or hurt that person, it's hurting the other person, or it's degrading yourself or the other person. And it's without like, it's not unethical if it's in self-defense, as in like that person has hurt you or is attempting to hurt you. So that's not unethical, but it's unethical if this is a person who hasn't actually hurt you. So that's the social status stuff. Like, you lose your social status when you steal from somebody and you don't pay them back, or you lose your social status when you like rape somebody, that kind of stuff. Like, you don't have to be convicted of it. You could get away with it scot-free or whatever, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change your social status, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. And also it has a lot to do with social skills, but again, that ties in more with, this has more to do with a person's birthright more than anything, which I guess what a lot of people who back then like wanted to fight against, saying like, you know, our birthright shouldn't have anything to do with who we are as a person, even though that's like ignoring who you are as a person. Like, your birthright is like, okay, so like your intelligence and your physical attractiveness has a lot to do with your parents and your lineage, right? And you're really good looking because your parents and your grandparents and your ancestors actually focused on making sure that you were physically fit or whatever. Or like, they cared a lot about intelligence, and that's what they were breeding for. Like, that's what they wanted in a sexual partner. So that's kind of how you can tell somebody's like social status or whatever. So it's like you can't really like become a different social status. I mean, kind of. You can't become a different social class, a social group. Like, you can't like change your brain or your genetics into being something that you're not. But you can at least be the best version of that thing that you are. Oh, that makes sense. I mean, people aren't gonna hate you. They're not gonna stop being friends with you because of your status or whatever. Like, some people will, and it has a lot to do with the people that they know. Some people won't. I don't fucking know. Honestly, it's a fucking headache. But it's 3 minutes now. What's social status? Social status is like, you know, it's narcissistic to say all these girls are hot and that's why they're friends with each other. No, it's actually closer to all these girls really, like, they're friendly and they value work ethic. So all of these girls are friends with each other and friends with each other, and the thing that is in common with all of them is that they all have good work ethic. They may look differently, they may be of different background, they may not even make the same amount of money, but they all have one thing in common. It's their work ethic, so like their work values. So that's what's kind of, they don't even work in the same field, but they all have the same, they've all valued work ethic, and thus they are friends. That's what that is. If you all like, let's say you all like to do the same thing as like a pastime, that will be like more your social class, not your social group. I don't know how else to explain it. So like, it's like, okay, so like I have a group of people that I hang out with to do these things because we all like doing those things. But my actual friends, as in the people that I rely on, and then we were always gonna be friends with each other no matter what, are like the people who's gonna help me out if I ever need like somebody to help me out with my mortgage, or if I need to move, or if I ever, I don't know, if I have family or something, like if I have kids, I don't have to worry about leaving my kids with them. Or like I don't even care if they come in and out of my house, or like if they own property, they don't even like they we all like vacation together at each other's houses or something like that. That's your friend group. That would be your social group. But then your social class is like the people that like to do the same things as you. So like we all like to hang out every weekend. This is my knitting group, this is my croquet group, this is my we all go clubbing every weekend group, that kind of stuff. That's your social class. Typically social class, you all end up looking alike, or you have the same amount of income. That's what that's kind of like. With social group, you guys have the same innate qualities. I mean, it's hard to be friends with somebody that you don't share values with. That kind of stuff. I think that's where people get a little like tripped up over, where they don't really understand that kind of stuff. Like, you can lose your social status. So even if you're part of that social group and you do something really bad, like you steal from another person, or like let's say you take advantage of them, then they're not gonna be wanting you in the group anymore. So now you have to find you can't go with the same type of group anymore. Now you gotta find a lower version of the group that might be similar. It's like getting demoted. Yeah, I think that's what that is. It's like in a personal setting, it's like demotion in a personal setting. It happens. I guess a lot of people get involved with things that they shouldn't be involved in. People get lazy or whatever. Sometimes like you have a fight with one of your friends and you're not really thinking about the other person, but more so like proving your own point and not really caring about how other people are doing, regardless of what's going on. That's kind of, this is why people used to say, beef was for royal people. Like, these kind of fights is for people with a lot of like personal values. Because at the end of the day, like, you still have to make sure that these people are doing okay, even if you guys are going to fight. If that makes sense. Like, you can't kind of like ignore them and leave them out to dry or whatever. Or like leave them at the side of the road. Unless like that person literally matters nothing, it does not matter to you, and you have deemed this person unnecessary to anyone else. And you are sure about that. Because you're very, very socially inept. Not socially inept, socially progressive and socially skilled. Like, you have really high social skills. And that person is socially inept. So no one's gonna really mind or whatever. This is where the whole, like, I don't think they phrased it correctly. My old psych prof said that criminals actually are in the considered vulnerable populations. I think she means, like, people who are, prone to, like, their moral compass is skewed towards immorality. They're in the vulnerable populations. I think that's what she meant. Like, not like criminals. Some of them are actually like they get convicted of crime, some of them don't. But she said criminals are a vulnerable population because they are the ones who are suffering more. Like, people who are likely to get taken advantage of, those are what they call vulnerable populations, and it includes criminal populations. So that's, if you were, like, let's say you got convicted of an offense and you can't find a job because of that offense, and you're having a hard time finding work, right? And at the end of the day, like, you're struggling to make ends meet, or like you need to pay off whatever, blah blah blah, and like you are like desperate for like getting any sort of finances. That's when they kind of goad you into doing illegal things for money, especially since you don't personally feel bad about it since you're a criminal. Right? Like, some people are like, this is the criminology aspect of it, I think. I don't go by the criminology stuff, but what they're trying to say is that, like, people who do bad stuff for money, as in like I'll pay you $20 to insult that woman, that's a crime, right? And they're like, oh, those are criminal. Like, they will do that anyway regardless. But I don't know what I'm getting this, like, I don't think she was saying it right. I don't think it's vulnerable populations at all. I don't know why she said that. I don't know who she's trying to explain or describe. Maybe she's just like... Maybe she meant prisoners. People who go to prison are vulnerable populations. That I would understand. But people who don't go to prison are vulnerable. And I was like, I don't think that's true either. But... Like, she just... I don't know what the fuck she was talking about, to be honest. I don't know why she was saying those things. Regardless, what people are socially is like, please don't like go outside of your social group or whatever, because you're gonna have a hard time fitting in. That's my only thing that I've noticed, is that like, not that like, and it has really like, the superficial descriptions is not really a reflective of that person. I mean, you can kind of tell in the way they like treat other people. Like, that's a dead giveaway for me. I'm just like looking at the situation, the people involved, and what they are versus what that person is. That's kind of how we can get an estimate of why they're doing that and what they're looking for from the other person and the reason why they're looking for those things. Right? That's kind of how I assess social status. I mean, some of them, they like to fool people by, like, they manage to, like, force themselves to work a decent position. They have a lot of money, and then they buy nice clothes. They have people tutor them and teach them all these skills and tricks and stuff, and they practice a lot. And they're able to, like, kind of fool people with it. Like, especially if you're in, like, a large social gathering setting, it's hard to notice. Again, like, especially like if you're going to a club or like a huge party, like there's so many people there, some of the people you've never met before, it's kind of hard to tell if they're like, you know, the same class as you or not. But it has nothing to do with money. That's the thing. I mean, not nothing to do with money, it has nothing to do with the money you have. There you go. Like, you can have, like, $1 million and, like, you can still be kind of a dick or, like, a bitch or whatever. I mean, those are the people who actually got, like, are losing their social status. They're not doing very well. And typically people who live off inheritance money, I think, I don't know, I don't fucking know how to describe this. Also, people of higher social class never mistreat people based on their social class. That's another dead giveaway for me. It's like, okay, so like, if you are doing better than somebody, or like you are like whatever, like they wouldn't not help you, that kind of stuff. And it's not because they had something to do with it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I walk down the street and I'm not being forced to, and I have nothing to do with why that person's in that situation, but I'm gonna go out of my way, or at least I'll do something to at least help that person, regardless of my situation and that person's situation, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I can assess it. Most people, they feel more comfortable when somebody else is already doing that kind of stuff, or like they feel safer, as in like, oh, at least I'm not the only person who thinks this way. So it kind of like creates a sense of camaraderie, I think. It's like kind of a social support thing. But yeah, women are really good at this. That's what they're known for. But other than that, like you're gonna have a horrible time if you like hang out with the people who have nothing in common with you, right? Like, what are you guys gonna do? Like, sit down and watch movies that you all hate? Or like sit down and watch something that only one person likes and the rest of the people can't even stand, and people are gonna start fighting within the group and stuff like that? Like, that's kind of like why people like to hang out with people who are like them, even though you may like that person, you might admire that person or whatever. Like, kind of like maybe get into same hobbies as them or something. That's what I would say. Oh, also, I've been trying to like, I want to buy Skyrim, the game. I played it when I was younger. I think I pirated it actually. I don't remember. It was like, I think pirating is illegal, right? I have no idea. I needed something to do at home, honestly. Well, like, it was really bad. And no, they wouldn't have purchased it for me because they didn't have enough money for the game at the time. That's the thing. I think that's like what a lot of people don't understand. This is where like the whole ethics and morality come into question regarding all these kind of like illegal activities. I don't know if it's illegal. This has a lot more to do with sociological issues and criminology and like current government bodies and economy more so than other things. I don't know. I don't know. But look, the problem is, I think a lot of people like they just don't like to like well, I wouldn't pirate things I could afford. That's the thing. And the only reason I did it that is because I needed something to like distract me. That kind of stuff. And that makes sense. Some of the stuff that was available online, I couldn't get it. It's not showing in cable or anything in this country, so I was like, no. So I kind of had to like use the internet websites that was streaming online. And even if I order Netflix, like, they're not gonna show all the movies available in USA as same as here or like in different countries. And the ones that are available are only available for a limited period of time, and then it gets taken off the roster of available movies and TV shows, which are really annoying. What else? Oh, and I never finished the game, that's the thing. Nobody did. So I consider that like a trial version. I think that's what that is. So I downloaded a free trial online. It wasn't that bad. And I only did those things so like kind of like, what do you call it? Because ease the financial burden. Is that the right word for it? It's like popular games everyone has access to and most people play, but we couldn't afford it. So that's kind of how I went about it. It wasn't really like, yeah. It wasn't illegal or anything. I don't think that's illegal. I think what they're doing is illegal, and this is how I was combating their illegal activities. I guess some people are trying to say I was fighting fire with fire. That's not really what I was doing. But, yeah, what they were doing was illegal, which is, like, discrimination. Right? And, I was trying to prevent that from happening. Look, honestly, I wasn't trying to, like... The thing is, how do I say that? They were actually stealing, that's the thing. 2 younger kids that I had to look after, those two were actually stealing, like, they steal a lot, and I was trying to stop them from, like, going to stores and, like, actually stealing actual product off the surface, like, of the shelves, by getting, like, a copy, so I'm just, like, think of it as, like, a friend, like, borrowing a copy from a friend that you know. Right? Is that way, at least you're not getting caught, you're not going to prison, you're not getting minor offenses that might affect your ability to, like, you know, like, end up in prison and stuff like that. Like, it wasn't just them, that's the thing. Their mom stole a lot, too. I'm not really sure why she did. But she said that that's how she was, like, getting free stuff, or, like, she thought it was a game. Like, she actually thought that was kind of like a video game or whatever, where she, like, would steal and, like, you know what I mean? It was just weird. But I only looked after them when they were younger and they needed like somebody to look after them, like because I was still considered a family member legally. So I was doing the work. But like realistically, like it was like having like my maid's family live with me. It was weird. It's like it wasn't that weird, I guess. I guess a lot of people have this where they hire people to like they hire personal chefs and like maids and all that kind of stuff, and then they have them live at their house. And then when they don't work for them anymore, then they are able to like go somewhere else and work somewhere else, and like maybe they save up enough money from working for the family that they are able to like, you know, live on their own and without having to work for anyone. But yeah, that's what that was, I think. Really weird. It was like that. No, it was that. Is it? Not really. That's what that felt like. Kinda. No. It was that. Yeah, that's what that was. Anyway. I'm getting all these... this was after the Korean War, by the way. Like, Korea wasn't doing so well. And I don't think their economy was, like, that stable. Like, their economy was stable, but, like, their other social stuff wasn't very stable. And they had a lot of new immigrants living in the country and stuff like that. So, that's how they were trying to support their people. A lot of people immigrated outside of Korea during the war and after the war. Because things weren't very stable enough and there was too many people living there for them to, like, kind of... Like... Not like they could have supported it, but I think they just left because they still needed to like have businesses outside of Korea and they wanted to support the people who were like, it wasn't very safe there. That's the thing. So they just left. A lot of them ended up immigrating back to Korea after, but they were outside of Korea for a while. Some people actually lived in America for like a few generations. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, no, it wasn't okay for them to do that because it's kind of, I don't know if they made it like an optional thing, but it was, I think it was integral to like the kids' development. The things that the foster mom could have afforded, were able to afford, were most of it. She wasn't, like, she could have afforded more of it, I think. She just didn't want to. I just noticed that. Like, she just didn't want to spend any money on her kids whatsoever. And nor me. And I had to, like, literally, like, I had to, like, honestly, like, ask her, like, a million times before she even bought me clothes. Like, that was really, it was really bad. But, she kept on saying that she didn't have any money, but I think she was lying. She would spend, like, maybe, like, a little bit of money or here and there. I don't know where she was keeping the rest of her stuff. I don't know where she was spending all that money for. I think she was having a difficult time at one point with finances. Yeah, I remember. But other than that, like, when we were younger, like, I think she was able to afford some stuff. They even emailed me. They're like, you know how much money we spent on raising kids? It's like $2 million or something. And I was like, okay, why are you complaining to me about how much money you have to spend on raising children? Like, why'd you even choose to have kids? That's the thing I never understood. I'm like, well, only thing I learned from that is like, oh wow, now it costs like, what, $2 million to raise 3 kids from that in like the 90s? 90s and the early 2000s. I mean, I don't fucking know how much it costs, honestly. I don't think it costs that much money. Last time I read, it cost about $100,000 to raise a kid back in the 60s and 70s. So I'm pretty sure it costs probably like... Oh, maybe that was her lawyer fees, like Tiffany's lawyer fees. And her bail, so she didn't have to go to juvie. Oh, that might be what that was. Damn. But anyway, I think it costs like less than that. I don't know. Maybe it's 2 mil per kid. It's a lot of money. Oh my god. What if it's like 3 mil now? If I have a kid now, it's gonna cost me $3 million to raise one. Oh my god. How the hell am I supposed to afford that? Oh god. How? I don't know how people are raising kids on welfare. Like, without any credit or anything. I'm like, yo, that's fucking impossible. Like, you need to pay for daycare, you need to pay for tutoring, you have to pay for extra credit lessons and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, personally, I wouldn't, because I already know how to do those things, so I would teach it to my kids. Yeah. That's it. Oh, that's what that was. They were asking for free tutoring. Or like, rather, I don't know, somebody told me, actually, that I was eligible for a PhD. I would be a PhD candidate. And I was like, what? Oh, it's kind of weird. But I didn't have enough money for food. I didn't have enough money to pay my rent sometimes. Like, I was struggling a bit. And a lot of people actually tried to, like, they were telling me, more than one person has told me, it's not actually that easy to get out of your income bracket, even if you're eligible for it, because it's just, a lot of people already are at the income bracket. The people who are at a higher income bracket, they want to save that spot for themselves if anything goes wrong. That's what they try to tell me. I'm like, I don't think that's how that works. But that's what they were trying to tell me. I don't think that's it, though. But, yeah, they're like, you know, it's not actually that easy to make all that money. And if it was that easy, like, everyone would be able to do it, and they wouldn't fall for these scams. Like, get rich quick schemes and stuff. I'm like, are you sure? I don't know if that's right either. Anyway, I don't have a sociology degree, so I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I never took a sociology course either. Oh my god, what is that? It feels like they're trying to get me to kill myself or something. They're make it sound like it's impossible for me to find a job and impossible for me to, like, move up in life or whatever. I'm like, I don't think that's right. Damn it, it's 30 minutes now!